Hi class. Today I'm going to go over how to take an image that you chose for your polyester plate project and create it into, or actually change it into a halftone image using Photoshop. This is not the only way to do it, but it is a quick and simple way that can get you started. And what I'm going to start off by doing is opening up a new file. So I'm going to go click new file. I'm going to go ahead and open, click on this one that says 8.5 by 11 by 300 ppi. So that is pixels per inch. You want to make sure that the resolution is at minimum 300, just to make sure that your image is a high resolution, and also when it prints, it does not print out pixelated or loses its clarity. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm okay with the orientation, I'm going to press create, and that's going to give me my blank artboard. Next thing I'm going to do is import an image. So I can actually just go over to, let's see, open. And I'm going to find my image of my bird, sparrow image sample. And that is a JPEG, so that should be able to drop in quite easily. So there we go. I got my image. You'll notice that it is locked right now. So what I'm going to do is unlock the layer. I want to go ahead and I'm going to get right to it. So the next step is I'm going to go over to image, go to mode. I'm going to go to grayscale, and it's going to turn my image into grayscale. After that, I'm going to head back to image, mode again, then up to bitmap. It's going to ask me for flattening layers. I'm going to say OK. Then it's going to bring up this menu. The output should be 300 because that's going to match the resolution of your image. And I want to make sure that this submenu down here underneath method is using the halftone screen label. Then I'm going to press OK. So after I do that, it's going to bring me up to another menu, and this is where I can actually change the frequency, which means the amount of dots I have or lines per inch. So the lower you go on the frequency, the less dots you're going to have and less detail. The higher you go, the more dots and more detail. But I do have a word of warning for you for this project. If your image is too finely detailed, then your ink might actually, when you apply your ink to your image, and your halftone dots might actually like blur into one another because they're going to be so close together. And the space between the white of the plate and the dots of your image might actually end up blurring. So what I recommend is we can do something that is around, I think I feel comfortable with like 25. But I encourage you to play around with it. See, you can actually print your image before you print it on the plate. And that'll be a really good idea to see the resolution, to make sure it's not too close or too fine or even like too general. And you can always show me and we can actually talk about it and go over the image. So I'm going to go with a frequency of 25. The angle is 15. The reason I'm choosing 15 is because when you use a 4-color printing process, you always want to change the angle for each of your colors. And you can actually play around with that as well. You don't have to use 15, but I'm going to leave it there. And you could also actually try different shapes for your halftone screen effect, but I'm going to stick with the round for this part of the project. All right. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And you'll notice that it immediately halftoned my image. And I feel pretty comfortable with the amount of halftoning. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. And the next step is going to be to transport this image onto my template that I made. And you can have access to that template too. So the next step is going to go to mode. I'm going to go back to grayscale. Size ratio 1, that's fine. I'm going to press OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this little like lock to unlock the layer. What I like to do is take the magic eraser tool right here in this left menu, and that's going to allow me to get rid of the white of the background. So I'm just going to click that, and you'll notice that it actually removed all of the background of the artboard. So I can actually carry this and transport it over. Okay, so this image is ready to go. What I'm going to do next is go to File, go to Open, and I have my 11 by 17 Pronto Plate registration guide. So I'm going to open that up. It's also a Photoshop file. And you'll notice that my image did not get erased. It's just up here in the tab. I can always go back and access that right here. And I created this registration guide for 9 by 12 paper, and your image that fits in here is roughly, I'd say, 9 by 6. But all these different registration lines are set up in different layers, and you can remove them if you need to, or change it up. So next thing I'm going to do is go to my Sparrow image. I'm going to click, Command click on the image. I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go to Copy. Then I'm going to go click on my registration guide page, and I'm press Command V to paste. And that's going to transport my image over to my registration plate. So what I can do is make sure it is nice and center. If you already have some pre-made registration guides, you can adjust these. What I will probably do is click on these guides and start to make sure they fit and are lined up with my image to make sure it's nice and centered. And one last thing, if you are using this to print on your Pronto plate, make sure to reverse your image. So what I'm going to do to reverse it is click on my image right here where it says layer 1. And if I'm not sure, I can always click the little eye to see if that's the correct layer. Then I'm going to go to Edit, actually Image, Rotation, and I'm going to click Flip Canvas Horizontal. And that should flip my image. And it should be ready to print. And you notice if I zoom in, you can see the halftoning effect remains. So hopefully this is helpful. And just also to remind you that there are other tutorials on how to halftone. If you are using Procreate, it might actually be a little bit easier to halftone your image in that app. All right, good luck, folks.